Hi everyone, my name is Gagan. I'm currently a senior data scientist, but I also have experience working as a data engineer as well as data analyst. So today I want to show you some of the tools that I use for managing my learning and development. So if you're working in field of analytics as well as a software engineer, you know learning and development is going to be part of your, if not daily routine, weekly routine or monthly routine, because you're spending some of the time in learning some new technology, new databases, new programming language. Keeping up to date your skills is quite essential in this field. So there are some things that you can use to manage how you actually learn, and so I want to show you a little bit of how I actually use Jira and Confluence and Scrum methodology to keep track of what I'm learning. Um, so let me give you a little bit of introduction. So Jira is one of the most popular tools out there for organizations to manage their whichever methodology they're following. I wanted to say Scrum, but it's not specific to Scrum. So if you're also following Kanban, Agile, whatever methodology you use, you can use Jira as a tool to manage your development process. Confluence is part of the same family by Atlassian, and it's basically a knowledge sharing platform. So you can think of it as Google Sheets, that you're documenting something and you're sharing across your teammates. But instead of sharing like what they need, you can document things here, and team members can actually take a look at what you've been working on, or or you can use it in various ways. But right now, the specific use case that I want to show is for learning and development. Another thing quite useful is having a command over IDE. So whether you prefer Visual Studio, PyCharm, up to you. You choose your poison. GitHub is quite essential in managing your code repository. So any kind of code that you end up writing while you're learning some things, or you're working on side projects, so it's good to store the code in GitHub. So if you need it in future, you know how to get it or where to get it. And of course, your online platform. So whether your organization is providing you access to Udemy, Coursera, Pluralsight, Cloud Academy, there's hundreds and not hundreds and thousands, but quite a few online platforms. So okay, let's not waste time. Let's get into it. So if you log in, first you can create an account in Jira. It's free for first 10 users. Of course, it's limited functionalities, but still you can use it to manage your work. So if I'm logged into Jira, and you can see in my recent project it's saying learning and development. And if you'd like to create new projects, you can go here, create a new project. So let me give you a little demo. So if you go into create new projects, so you can choose different method which you want to follow. So I use Scrum, and I'd like to use Scrum again for managing what I'm learning. So you can create using Scrum. For me, it's already created, so don't need to. And if I go into this page, it's quite straightforward. You can see there's a roadmap, backlog, and board. And backlog is all the items that I'd like to take care of in future. So basically, all the things you'd like to learn eventually, that's backlog. And if you log in, you can see this is my current sprint, which is I named it as NLP. So over the weekend, I'd like to revise some of the topics from NLP. So I put it in this current sprint, and I started it. If I'd like to add something more, like um, let's say I'd like to create a project um, for sentiment analysis, and it's already added in my current project. In Epic, I can add as part of natural language processing. And these right here, small, is the story points. And story points, you can think of how much effort it'll take. So let's say I want to spend 5 hours on this. So I can essentially add the number of different teams use it in different ways, but you can use it in, let's say, number of hours or even number of days. Um, so so let's say I want to spend like 1 day on it, but it's me who only understand. And since I'm the only one, it's gonna be assigned to me, of course. Uh, I don't know why it's not working. Anyways, so you can see these are the topics which are in progress, and these you can see in board. These are the topics that I'm currently learning. So these are in process, in progress. Once I'm done, I can just move across. Okay, I learned this topic. I don't. I'm done with it. So it's a good place to actually practice. Not only you're learning how to manage sprints, Jira, but you're also managing your learning and development process along the way. So quite useful. Um, so if I go in roadmaps you can see all these epics. So epics are the big or the large body of work that needs to be delivered. So how does it translate to learning and development? So if I want to learn, let's say Python, I can create a I can create an epic for Python, and inside epics are usually user stories, and user stories, um, well, in software development is what the user requires, but you can think of it for your own need. What subtopic that you would like to learn, and in subtopic can be different tasks. So if I expand this Python fundamentals, so I've already added these things that I'd like to revise, let's say in the next few months. So conditional execution, strings, document, blah blah blah, functions, introduction, and similarly in different other topics, whether you want to learn mathematics or machine learning, advanced Python, deep learning, cloud computing fundamentals. Um, you can add other subtopics, user stories in what you would like to learn. And here you can also define your timeline, like the period in which you would like to learn. So let's say I want to learn machine learning. I can add it like, okay, I'm going to spend next 6 months, starting from which date that I would like to focus on learning this topic. So that's also useful. Um, Now going back, not going back, but going forward to Confluence. How Confluence at the moment for me looks like is, well, there's not much here. This is the introduction page for the team. Of course, I haven't set it up because it's only me. But on the left side, you can see there's plenty of pages which have information. So let me first make them into a smaller topic. So you can see there's already Python, data engineering, SQL, big data, cloud fundamentals, and then NLP. So what I do is when I'm learning some theoretical knowledge, let's say data engineering. So so what I do is I write it in my own language. So so the knowledge becomes more deepened, and this is essentially also known as Feynman's technique, which is um, you're not only learning through other people's work, but you're also translating the work into your own language. And I usually do it in a way that I'm trying to teach someone. Like if I'm going to write a definition of data engineer, what it's going to be like. So of course these are gathered from different sources. But yes, essentially what I'm trying to do is make notes of all the things that I'm learning. So here you can see some pages are filled. There's plenty of empty pages as well. Um, but yeah, basically theoretical knowledge. There's some practical knowledge as well. So this is specific for Postgres. Like how do you create a role in Postgres? So I've taken a screenshot and put it here. So for me, it's useful. Like at some point, let's say I haven't used Postgres in the last 6 months or so, and eventually now I'm in an organization or a team where they use PostgreSQL, and I have to kind of get familiar with it again because you do end up forgetting things if you haven't used them in 6 months. So I know I have my notes that I can go through. Like okay, this is the information that I need in order to start revising. Of course, you can Google things as you go along, but those that knowledge tend not to stick because you're going from solving one problem to another. And here I like to document things for my future use. It's also very useful when you're going to be preparing for interviews. So let's say I know I'll be preparing for an interview where a company uses Spark. So I know for sure they're definitely going to ask me about what are the Spark components or structure. So again, I've created some notes, how the structure for Spark looks like. Um, so so essentially, you can see everything that I'm trying to learn. I'm also documenting it as I'm learning along. Um, Next introduction I can give you is is code base. So I like to use Visual Studio, and so this is a place where I'm learning data engineering, and there's extensive Python that I keep on writing here. So for basics and fundamentals, like including starting from Hello World as well as lists. Um, so so I'm basically documenting everything that I'm learning along the side. And once I'm done with a specific topic, let's say list, so I spend plenty of time actually solving exercises. And these exercises you can find um, quite easily, like if you Google list. Uh, yeah. So here's a page, 281 exercises. That's plenty of exercises to solve. So what I would do is solve these exercises by myself. If I cannot come up with a solution, then I'd refer to some material. But it's quite essential to put what you're learning into practice, especially when you're coding. So so I document these things, and once I actually write down everything, or I'm done with the code, I prefer to move it to GitHub, and you can see in my Git repo. This is the data engineering project that I just showed you. So all the code that I'm writing is just sitting here. It's up for me to revise, it's up for me to grab. But more or less, once you do hands-on practice, the knowledge starts to become more concrete, that you don't need to go look at your material over and over. So let me show again. Um, so this is a good example. So I'm learning this course, or I was learning it, PostgreSQL. It's 60 hours long. And another good thing about at least Udemy is like you can browse through the topics. So you can also start to see, you can already see them in terms of user stories and the task. So let's say I'm learning this specific topic, which is creating and modifying table. So what I can do is um, go in my backlog, and I can create a user story or issue. Unfortunately, you cannot see, but let me. Yeah. So now you can see, like I already wrote, this is something I'd like to learn, and this is part of my SQL learning environment, my SQL Epic. And again, depending on if I'm trying to learn it during this time period or next time period, I can add it in the sprint, and I can keep track of what I'm learning. So short and simple. Um, Jira you can use to manage what you're going to learn now, but also what you're going to learn in future. Confluence you can use once you understand the topic, you can translate into your own into your own words, and move it in the platform for you to actually revise. ID just to practice writing your code, and GitHub to save that code. And of course, any platform that you'd like to learn, it's up to you. You use that platform as you need. So for me, when I'm learning some things, I'm usually not learning from beginning till the end, because for some specific use case, I'm just learning some different topics. So let me give you an example of this data engineering course. I'm not going to play the video, but in my current work, I only need to get familiar with Glue and Athena. And even though I've used them in the past, so I just open this course and go through this specific chapter. And as I'm going through this specific chapter, I'm also going to create notes in learning and development chapter, and Cloud computing is divided into again different topics. So one is like fundamentals, just basic fundamentals of cloud computing, and here there's Azure, which I've used like small portions in my previous job, and here's AWS. So all the analytics services, as well as anything that I'm trying to learn. Let's say I'm learning how to transformation, how to which services to use for transformation purposes. So I'm writing some theoretical notes as well as some screenshots of how to do things as well. Um, and that's it. And of course, over time, you're gonna have plenty of gaps in your knowledge. But the idea is you keep filling it as you go along. So, and that's what I do. So hopefully, um, you'll find it useful to start using Jira and Confluence for your learning. And good luck.